Hi, everybody. I'm Jarrett Rush. I'm the Director of Content Marketing here at Idea Grove. And like most of you, we are doing everything virtual right now. We're all working from home and adjusting to this new remote work life and the ways that that gets done. And for all of us, it's done through web conferencing here. We do have a pretty generous remote work policy already, and a lot of us do spend some time at home or coffee shops or working away from the office. We're blessed to have that flexibility. But this is a little more extreme and not something we're quite used to. And so we're all adjusting. And I wanted to talk to Laurie Lane, who is one of the newest member of our account team,
Mhm.
because she started in the middle of all this and she's had to be welcomed to a new company and get to know new people without actually ever shaking hands or getting to meet them in a room. So thanks, Laurie, for taking a couple
Yeah,
minutes.
thank you.
And so I'm curious what that experience has been like for you so far. What's it been like having to start a new job and go through orientation and kind of get to meet everybody virtually?
So meeting everyone virtually has been a lot easier than I anticipated. To be honest, I think the weirdest part and the hardest part is not walking past people in a hallway or sitting across from somebody in a desk or in a bullpen, I guess is what it's called. And saying, "Oh, I haven't met you yet," or "Hi, my name is Laurie. Nice to shake your hand and actually meet you." But instead, kind of having to, when somebody pops up on Slack, I can say, "Oh, I haven't met so and so yet," or the virtual happy hour on Friday really helped, where we had, I think, almost everyone in the agency as well as a staff meeting on Monday. Um, was able to point out, okay, I haven't met her officially, or I haven't met him officially yet, and
Mhm.
so that's been the roughest part. But as far as getting onboarded onto client accounts and meeting those that I'm going to be interacting with on my teams and on a more day-to-day basis, that's actually been pretty seamless and pretty easy, especially with not just Zoom and video conferencing in general, but Google Docs and Ignite and all of the tools that we have that connect us remotely wherever any of us are, has made it very easy. So a good experience so far.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. You said something in a meeting we were in the other day that we were kind of wrapping up, and you said, I look forward to the day I can kind of meet you guys and see that you actually have bodies below your shoulders.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking, they say that so much of our communication, I think 93% is the number I saw, is of our communication is nonverbal. And
Hmm.
so how do you how do you do that? How do you adjust to you know or how should you change your communication style to be effective when nonverbal communication is so much more difficult?
Sure. So that piece has been very interesting, and really until we had talked about it the other day, I hadn't uh, thought about it too much. But I have found myself kind of saying, I take notes by hand. That's kind of how I learn, and so oftentimes I'm looking off to the side, looking off to the computer and writing something. And so I'm wanting to tell people, oh, I'm writing right now. I'm not, playing on my phone or doing something different, or just not paying attention and not engaging, because otherwise I can see how me, looking over here down at a desk that's not obviously not at the computer, can seem as though I'm disengaged. And so having to kind of verbally confirm, oh yes, I'm paying attention and I'm just writing because that's what works best for me. That's been something that I've had to, I don't want to say adjust to, because it came pretty naturally, but that's been something different in how I communicate, is having to overcompensate. Yeah, I guess that's the perfect phrase for it, is overcompensate verbally for the nonverbal communication that's not being relayed.
And you're finding that you're having to sort of make a conscious effort to do that as opposed to
Not really.
okay, good.
Yeah, it wasn't super conscious. Like I said, it wasn't really until we talked about uh, this chat the other day that I even thought about the fact that I am doing those things. Uh, so it just kind of happened naturally. But especially as a new person, I don't want to come across as disengaged or disinterested in what people are telling me, and uh, especially uh, when sometimes computers can lag or
Hmm.
whatever. You won't always pick up on a slight head nod, so you kind of have to, yes, I understand what you're saying, or having to be like, can you hear me, when somebody's logging on for the first time or something. So those things have been interesting, but good and effective.
Well, good. You mentioned the slight head nod and those things that are kind of just more subtle communications. If you're in a meeting where you're trying to schedule out deliverables, I need this from you by this date. Yes, we can agree on that. That's pretty easy to communicate. But if you're in a meeting where you're trying to share ideas or maybe brainstorm something, it can kind of be a little bit harder to read a room, when there actually isn't a room to read.
Right.
So I guess how do you do that? How do you do it? How do you suggest others do it when they're in this virtual environment?
So the first, my first tip, I guess, is I've learned that the grid view or the gallery view works really well for me, so that you're setting it up as much like a room as you can, so that you can see everyone at one time, as opposed to having the speaker view on. Obviously, if it's a one-on-one meeting, that's very different. But as I'm, in different meetings and meeting a bunch of people at one time, you're able to see, okay, who is, I don't want to say who's engaged, but who might be trying to multitask right now, or who's on mute. So, okay, give them a second to respond, because they might not remember they're on mute. Or if you see that they start talking and you don't hear any sound, having to kind of hover your own mouse and say, oh yeah, turn up your volume or whatever. But I think setting it up like it is a room has been the most helpful for me. And that's, like I said, in that grid or gallery view, to do so. Another thing I would say is the virtual backgrounds have also been kind of helpful to decipher tone of a meeting. I have only been in one client meeting, and so far it's gone really well and seemed fairly, I don't want to use the word casual, but very friendly. And so, noticing that in a client meeting, maybe some people have their virtual backgrounds on to look like a cafe or a luxurious living room from the West Elm collection, as
I saw my
opposed
first one of
to
those today.
okay, as opposed to looking like you're in outer space. Or I know that you have the baseball field background. Just kind
Mhm.
of checking out other people's virtual backgrounds has also been a way that I'm kind of assessing the tone of a meeting and the tone of um, the conversation happening. And I don't know if people do that consciously, subconsciously, like we kind of discussed beforehand. I haven't figured out virtual backgrounds yet. I think I have to make a computer update first, but so I can't speak too much to that. But that's been a way that I've kind of been able to say, okay, you have a cafe background as opposed to being in outer space right now. So I see where your head's at, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. Laurie, I know I promised you we'd not take up too much of your time. I really appreciate you just taking a few minutes today to chat with us and to
Yeah,
give us your tips. And I'm really glad that the onboarding has gone smoothly, and really glad to have you as part of the team.
I'm glad to be here, and thank you for having me. This has been a fun onboarding and fun to kind of be the guinea pig, because I know that, I think, as you said before, Idea Grove's first virtual onboard.
You
So
are,
it's been
yeah.
fun, and it's going well for everyone
Fantastic.
who might be wondering.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Laurie. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for your time today, Jarrett. Have a good
Bye.
day.